Texas Baseball Report with your host, Rip Griffin.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this episode of the Texas Baseball Report. My name is Rip Griffin. I am your host for this episode. You can find me on Twitter at RipGriffin3, and you can follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Texas Baseball Report. It has been a little minute since we have done a live episode, but I am excited tonight because we are talking all things Astros baseball. Joining me is Kegan Crawford. He is a Overtime Heroics writer covering the Houston Astros. Kegan, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. How you been?
Doing pretty good, man. Hey, you've been doing some really great work over there at Overtime, and it's big exciting to kind of watch you continue to write as a writer, as a journalist, and you just got accepted into Stephen F. Austin.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
Man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. So
yeah, that's pretty exciting as you continue your writing career and doing things both on the baseball side and the football side as well with Overtime. So, but man, let's jump into this Astros team because we got the late start obviously with the lockout. That's all old news now as we are 45 games into this season. We are actually a quarter of the way through, and the Astros started off they started off hot, but now they are. Got a little cold, but now they're back and they're heating up again. They just came off this arduous 33 games and 34 days schedule. So they kind of get things out of the way. So overall, what are your thoughts on the Astros as we hit this quarter of the season with the Astros?
I think they're doing fine. I know last year around this time of the year we had the bullpen issues with guys staying inconsistent. Some of the starting pitching was a little shaky because we had Verlander out for the entire year with the Tommy John surgery. But really this year, I don't see any flaw in the team except for the offense. Because, sometimes they could be dormant in some games. Some days they're lighting up the scoreboard. But the pitching is what really has surprised me this year. You have Justin Verlander, 39 years old, coming off a Tommy John surgery. Most of the time, most pitchers his age coming off that surgery, they come out, if they even decide to pitch, they don't decide to retire. They come out and they struggle, like Lance McCullers did back in 2020 when he had Tommy John in 19?
So I think he was
2018, wasn't it?
2018. So because he missed all of 2019.
Yeah, because in 2020, I remember McCullers had his days where he was on point and some days where he wasn't. And in 2021, he came back and lit it up. But what Justin Verlander is doing to me is so incredible. His ERA, he leads the majors in that. His wins leads the majors. He's insanely good. He's putting up numbers. I think if he continues his role, he's going to win the Cy Young Award again this year. If not, he's for sure a lock for comeback player of the year. But the offense to me, I would say it's not relatively too early to start panicking, but it is something to kind of be mindful of. I do know we all know what this offense is capable of, but it's kind of just a hit and miss at this point. It's kind of all what I got there.
Yeah, no, it's those numbers that you were kind of talking about with Justin Verlander, first in ERA with the 1.22. Wins, he's got 6 wins, tied for first. He's his opponent batting average, he's at the top, ranked number 1 with a 161. His whip is a .72. The guy is truly a walking phenomenon of Tommy John.
Yes,
because even though he said it before the season, he didn't know how things were going to actually how his arm was going to feel, and then also he called himself like a test subject almost because nobody has actually gone through Tommy John at such a late age in his career, come back and been effective like he is. Cy Young candidate for sure, newcomer of the year like you said for sure. It's truly amazing that what we are seeing from Justin Verlander. And talk about the pitching staff overall, because just
it's been great. the only two guys at the moment that I could they have their hit and miss games, but I truly feel when they're on their game, they're on their game, and that's Jose Urquidy and Luis Garcia. We both know what they can do. Jose Urquidy, the best game I witnessed him do was with Game 5 of the 2019 World Series in Washington. Yep. Dominant. And Luis Garcia last year in the ALCS Game 6 took a no-hitter until like the 6th inning. These guys are really great. And then Fromber, if I remember correctly, he taught himself a new pitch this year. The sinker, or taught himself something. He's been using it a lot this year, but he's great. His ability to get the ground ball is really great. We've already talked about Justin Verlander. Urquidy's great. His only flaw at the moment, he gives up too many hits. But
right, yeah.
To me, I don't care how many hits you're giving up as long as you're not giving up runs. I mean, I can give up all the hits I want, but if I'm not giving any runs, I mean, that's like a win. Luis Garcia, kind of same thing too. He's gotten a lot better, I've noticed. And then you got Lance McCullers Jr. currently on the IL. He's reportedly supposed to be coming back, rehabbing soon, according to, I think, with Mark Berman on Twitter. McCullers was starting to throw off a mound last Sunday before the Guardians game. So McCullers is starting to get that velocity back up there. And I think even right now, without McCullers in the rotation, this rotation has the ability to take us deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, no,
you're adding McCullers later on in the year, and it's only going to get better. But I do think when McCullers comes back, Javier might be switched back into the bullpen, or because I don't know, because you got McCullers coming back from injury. You also have Odorizzi coming back from injury. Javier is not a bad choice to keep in that bullpen because of how long he can go. He's more of like he can just eat up innings. Just in case, let's just say like Luis Garcia or somebody gets absolutely shelled in the first like 3 innings. You put Javier in there, he can just go from like 4 innings if needed.
Yeah, he can get you a good 4 to 5 innings. And
oh yeah, and some people on Facebook on my recent article brought up some good points. Try to keep McCullers out as long as they can. Maybe bring him back closer to playoff time, and so you can cruise into the playoffs, which is not actually a bad idea. But at this time, I don't think McCullers needs to rush anything. I mean, this pitching staff they don't necessarily need him at the moment with how dominant they've been, which, I mean, not really a bad thing, but
yeah, no, it's this overall staff. I mean, right now it's ranked second in all of baseball with a 2.81 ERA, which is only behind the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are at a 2.73. So, I mean, there's a possibility of a World Series rematch from 2017 that could be brewing between these two top pitching staffs if everything else continues. Still a long way to go for that. But, I mean, you talked about Jose Urquidy for a second. He's one of those that, you know, like you mentioned, if he keeps the ball down in the zone, he can be very effective. And not this past start, but I believe the start previous to that, I mean, not a whole lot of strikeouts, but when the ball's in play and on the ground, it's easy outs. And that kind of, you know, the pitch count stays low. He can get through these innings. He can cruise through it. You know, Luis Garcia, I mean, like you mentioned as well, starting to get back into that mode as well. I mean, then you've got Jake Odorizzi, who, I mean, right now is on the IL after, you know, what was almost what we thought was the torn Achilles, but just some type of ankle strains and whatnots within the muscles and the tendons. But he's going to be out, and he's been actually performing very well after going. Yeah, shockingly. I mean, after going, you know, 2/3 of an inning several starts ago, to come back and to be locked in and to, you know, like he mentioned, you know, he wanted to stop pitching like crap. And
yeah,
I don't blame the guy. I mean, he was getting a lot of flack on social media, and you know, those wanting him DFA'd and traded and sent him down Sugar Land.
I remember I had my username on Twitter as just DFA Odorizzi, and I kid you not, like within the next week, his next couple of starts were just flawless. And I'm like, well, I guess
you got to take credit for that now. You got to take credit for getting.
Astros Twitter has successfully bullied Jake Odorizzi into becoming great, and I think it's working right now with Bregman. I've seen some posts criticizing Bregman, and his last couple of games he's doubled in a couple of runs. So think we just need to bully the entire team as a whole.
Just let them see what social media is doing and what they're saying. They get their things
Yes.
back going. So, I mean, you kind of mentioned Bregman for a second. I mean, right now he's batting 230. He does have 6 home runs with a 344 on base percentage, 421 slugging. So not the numbers that we're accustomed to seeing for Bregman. I don't know. To me, and we'll get your opinion. He's always been traditionally very slow to start the season, and usually around that 60 game mark, which we're coming up here pretty soon, he kind of starts to hit it. And he always talks about, he's found his swing, he's made adjustments, but we just don't see it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think at some point maybe Dusty Baker needs to put him down in the lineup, maybe just to take some of the pressure off?
See, that I wouldn't be opposed to that idea. I mean, it's not like you're benching the guy.
Right.
Because you got guys like Kyle Tucker that'll heat up, sometimes it would make sense to kind of swap him with Tucker or swap him with anybody down in the lineup just to kind of help him get up there. Because I noticed he's been in a lot of situations where there's runners on and he'll strike out or he'll pop out. And whereas you got like guys like Tucker who could maybe get a walk or, do something with it. And I think part of it is just me and maybe some most Astro fans. We kind of expect Bregman every year to be just like his 2019 self because we know what he's capable of. We know last year he suffered that hamstring injury that sidelined him for a majority of the season. But even after the first, I think it was August or September, he started to kind of really find his groove before fracturing his wrist before the playoffs. But I mean, this year, at the beginning of the year, he was showing signs of his 2019 self. I know when I think his first home run was against Ryan Tepera. But no, he was doing good at the beginning of the year, and he's kind of slowing down. I think I would hope he gets back to what he's accustomed to by the All-Star break. But if not, I wouldn't blame Dusty if he would move him down or even just let Ledmus Diaz take over for a game or two just to kind of get Bregman better. But while we're on the subject of people being slow to start, what about Yuli? Yuli's been struggling compared to what he was doing last year.
Yeah, he's I don't know what's going on with Yuli right now because I mean he's batting 224. I mean he's got only 3 home runs, 13 RBIs, an on-base percentage of 258, slugging 381, and an OPS of 639. I mean, he's drawing the walks though. I mean, he's got 5 walks this season. I mean, that's typically what he does. I mean, when you look at 2021, not sure where he was at this point last season, but overall, I mean, he drew 59 walks. 2 of those were intentional walks as well. But striking out, he's striking out quite a bit. He's got 23 strikeouts already. But when right before spring training, Yuli came out and, he had, slimmed down a little bit and kind of looked like he was in better shape than he was in 2021. I mean, although he did win the batting title and a gold glove as well at first base for defense. I mean, he's still a defensive, great first baseman. I can't help but wonder if maybe his age is starting to creep up on him. And maybe, father time is kicking in and he's not being very productive at the plate now. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you're going with that. I've noticed he's starting to chase out of the zone a lot more than I'm accustomed to. I believe he was the last at bat in the game against the Guardians on Monday, and he swung at a slider way outside the zone to end it. But with Yuli, I mean, I remember this spring training, I thought he was going to be really good this season because he was hitting just home run after home run. But yeah, I mean, I can see his age getting to him. He's 37. Most guys usually start declining around 30, 35-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know because I mean, you got Tucker normally starts off slow, and then he'll get up there. With Yuli, I don't know. It's kind of giving me kind of reminding me of the 2020 playoffs when Bregman and Yuli were almost non-existent because they didn't really do much as far as productivity. But I mean, Yuli's great defensively. He always has been. Just if the bat doesn't wake up, it's kind of almost like an automatic out at this point. I remember last year, anytime there was runners in scoring position, Yuli somehow, some way, always drove them in.
Right.
And this year, he's struggled to do that alongside Bregman. So, I mean, like you said, I mean, his age is probably just creeping up on him, but let's just hope that's the case. Not anything
Right.
else.
Yeah. I thought maybe I heard something somewhere that maybe possibly this might be his last season. He might just retire. But I mean, that's it's all speculation right now. But
Yeah.
I mean, one guy that is continued just to be the little engine that could is Jose Altuve, who's creeping up at around the 300 batting average right now at 288. But since he came back from the IL, he's kind of been giving the Astros a little bit of mojo at the top of that lineup there, which is good to see. Good for him to get going. It's a lot of things, offensively with this Astros team. They are ranked 9th with a combined 232 batting average. So they're in the top 10, way better than what they were a few weeks ago when they were down right there, ranked at the bottom of the league, to be honest. But, all in all, I mean, I think this Astros team is starting to kind of start to find their groove right now. I mean, they're sitting at 29-16 right now in first place. They're 2 games ahead of the Los Angeles Angels, and hopefully if those Rangers can keep piling it on against the Angels, helping us out, the Astros. So, the one few times that we root for the Rangers is when they play other teams in the division that that can help the Astros kind of pad their lead a little bit. But let's jump to the possible rookie of the year candidate, Jeremy Pena. This guy has been absolutely phenomenal since taking over from Carlos Correa, who we all know took off to the Minnesota Twins. What was your perspective when Correa left and Pena was going to take over? What was your initial thoughts on that?
So originally, like any other person, I wanted Correa to stay. But then I started seeing what he was asking for as far as salary and I received a lot of might get a little hate from Astros Twitter on this one, but I don't think Correa was worth what he was wanting. He was wanting that 10-year, $300 million. And I mean, there are some players in the league that I guess would be worth what he's asking for, but Correa has been too injury prone in his career.
Right.
2021 was probably the last year I can remember off the top of my head in which Correa really didn't spend any time on the IL. I mean, he's great defensively, great offensively, but I don't think $300 million was good enough for him. I don't blame the Astros for not trying to re-sign him, because that $300 million on one player has been insane when you can spend that money elsewhere. And so once I kind of came to the conclusion that maybe Correa wasn't going to stay, I started looking more into Jeremy Pena and started just, wondering, is this kid going to be good enough to fill such big shoes left by Correa? And I mean, so far he has. He's leading all rookie shortstops and really almost all rookies in general in certain categories. I mean, he's already got 7 home runs already. He's almost batting 300 on the season.
Yeah.
And most rookies don't ever really come out and just dominate like he has, but he's probably, to me, aside from Justin Verlander, the biggest shock or surprise of the Astros this season, because I mean, no one really expected this kid to be as good as he is, and here we are, a quarter of the way through the season, he's a likely rookie of the year candidate. It's insane, but I mean,
yeah, no,
it's crazy.
Just like you mentioned, rookie numbers, right? He's ranked 2nd in slugging with a 504. He's 6th in batting average with a 293. 1st in home runs, 1st in RBIs. I mean, 2nd in hits. I mean, 4th in OPS. I mean, the guy is doing it all at the highest level of baseball. And especially what's really unique about his situation is he only played 37 games last season between AA and AAA. And that's it. And this is his first, true test of longevity. This is the longest that he's played in his professional career. And to put up the numbers that he's doing it, I mean, especially when you look at guys like Bobby Witt Jr., we don't know what Adley Rutschman's going to do yet because he just got called up, but he kind of fits into that, that category. Julio Rodriguez, who, with the Mariners, who the Astros will be playing this weekend in Seattle. I mean, these are all guys that are top prospects, top rookie of the year candidate prospects. And Jeremy Pena is at the top of all these lists, and it just goes to show that the Astros made the right decision to let Correa go, bring in Jeremy Pena, and now we have a shortstop of the future that I want to see come next year and the season after that, and kind of see where he's at. And then, we could be talking at a Gold Glove winner, a Platinum Award winner, MVP. He can join all those talks there. So Jeremy Pena definitely has come on the scene this year and is completely taking the league by storm, and rightfully so. I mean, he was filling the biggest shoes in the Astros lineup from 2021, and he's just, I mean, he's blowing the competition away, to be honest. So,
I mean, yeah, I guess you could say the Astros won the offseason if you want to look at it that way.
Right?
Re-signing Justin Verlander for that short-term deal, not knowing what you're going to get out of him, and he comes out and he's almost pitching like a Cy Young-worthy season. Not signing Carlos Correa and bringing up Jeremy Pena, and it's like Correa almost never left. A lot of
exactly
good stuff. I think this year, if Pena were to win the Rookie of the Year and Verlander wins the Cy Young, I think it would be like the third time in Astros history where they've had that happen. Where
interesting, okay?
Because I think the last time it happened was 2019. Verlander won the Cy Young. Jordan won the Rookie of the Year.
That's right.
I think it was 2015 or 2015, I think, when Dallas Keuchel won the Cy Young and Correa won the Rookie of the Year.
So
I might have got the year wrong, but I think I got the year wrong on that one. But
let's see,
Keuchel and Correa did win awards like that.
Let's check that out real quick, because I think you're right. I think it is 2015, because that's when Correa got called up. Let me see, 2015. What kind of?
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're spot on there on that. So, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty good company. I mean, it's a pretty good category to be a part of, and especially within the Astros record books. So, but I mean, 45 games in, you're sitting in first place right now. Offense is doing great. I'm gonna say great. They are doing great. I mean, even though the bottom part of that lineup, I mean, especially with Martin Maldonado, Jason Castro, those guys really aren't doing a whole lot right now as far as offensively. I mean, Maldonado is a good defensive catcher, but I think at some point we're gonna see possibly the Astros make a move. Probably not until later on. We need to see what Corey Lee can continue to do down there in Sugar Land, because he's pretty much the Astros catcher of the future, especially with Castro and Martin Maldonado both being on free agent this year. So this is their walk years. But
I think Castro is considering retiring at the end of this year. So that automatically, I would not be opposed to Corey Lee coming up. I've seen highlights of what he's doing down in Sugar Land, and I'm honestly just anticipating his arrival. Martin Maldonado, he's great for defense. I think that's really the only reason Houston's kept him, because his offense is really anemic. You have like that one game where he'll hit a home run and then he'll just go dormant for like weeks. Jason Castro was real clutch last year in late game situations, but so far this year, I think his batting average is below 100. But I mean, even if both of them leave this offseason, you still got Corey Lee coming up, and you can go out there and resign or sign any catcher you want. I think they'll be fine either way, because I mean, you see Corey Lee's got a cannon for an arm. Right? He's almost like a younger Martin Maldonado, but with like the bat of, let's just say, Mike Zunino, just somebody that can hit.
That's a good reference there. Yeah. No, it's I didn't get the chance to see Corey Lee too much last season. He got called up late in September to AAA Sugar Land. I think it was to try to get him some more at bats. And the one game that I went to, he was in the lineup, but he may have gone like 1 for 2, 1 for 3. So, of course, one game I'm there, I probably jinxed him and probably, killed his batting average a little bit. But, I mean, just by looking at the numbers, he's definitely the reason why the Astros have him ranked so high within the top prospects. I think he's number 2 now behind Jeremy Pena. So, there's a lot of other prospects as well. I mean, we still haven't seen what Forrest Whitley can do yet. The Astros have another guy, Alex Santos, Pedro Leon,
Hunter Brown.
Yeah, Hunter Brown as well, which is I think we might see him at some point this season, maybe in September as a call up. But I mean, regardless of what happens within the rotation, within the lineup, the Astros are stacked, and that kind of leads me to what's going to happen kind of towards the trade deadline. So the Astros are sitting. Let's go for an example here, and you did an article on this. I want to touch on it. The possibility of Juan Soto, because Juan Soto is gaining a lot of traction as far as trade talks. Because I mean the Nationals, they're in full rebuild mode. Having him in the lineup on the roster definitely can eat up a lot of money. And if the Nationals are able to get prospects in return, then of course they will probably let him go. But talk about Juan Soto. What do you think he could bring to this Astros lineup if they, quote unquote, do a trade with the Nationals?
I think he brings even more power to the offense. If you put him in the outfield, that gives you an outfield of, assuming Michael Brantley leaves this offseason, you got Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, and Juan Soto, 3 really powerful left-handed bats you can put anywhere in that lineup. I mean, he is young, so you would have him for, if you're able to lock him down with the contract, you have him for almost his entire career. And I know lots of Astro fans wouldn't want to see Soto in Astros uniform. I personally wouldn't be opposed to it, because whatever helps the team win, I'm all for it.
Right.
I didn't like watching Soto in the 2019 World Series for obvious reasons, but
yeah.
But looking back on it now, he made Justin Verlander and Garrett Cole that year, who were both top 2 in Cy Young voting. He made them look average, which
yes,
I mean, that's impressive. Like, and Justin Verlander was out there just absolutely dominating in 2019. Same thing with Garrett Cole, and Juan Soto just went out there and just teed off on them. And I think if the Astros had that, it would definitely help them in the playoffs against teams like the Yankees and everybody else. I think Juan Soto would bring a lot of power to that already stacked lineup. But the thing is, what would Houston give up for him?
Right. That was going to be my next question. Yeah. So who do you think the Astros would give up? Because, they're going to have to give up some top prospects in return to get a guy like Juan Soto, who's, I mean, right now.
I don't know who all would Nationals want, because there's Pedro Leon, there's Hunter Brown, Forrest Whitley, but there's a lot of possibilities. What I went off of on my article, I used the trade that almost happened back in 2018 when Bryce Harper was set to become a free agent that year before he signed with the Phillies. The Astros almost pulled off a massive trade acquiring Bryce Harper from the Nationals. And looking back on that one, the Astros were going to send the Nationals 3 minor league prospects. And at the time, the players weren't anything major at the time. But look, I kind of went off of that, and assuming that they went with the same style they did that back then. I kind of just wrote up just McCormick, Siri, and Leon, just kind of throwing names out there. I mean, it wouldn't be bad. I think that I don't pay attention much outside the Astros as far as other team needs. So I don't really know what the Nationals need. And like you said, they're in rebuild mode, so they're probably just looking for any sort of young talent. I kind of lost. I don't know who they would send in return.
So I kind of just did a quick little brief research on that trade that didn't happen between the Washington Nationals and the Astros for Bryce Harper. So the Astros were going to do a 3 prospect package, which was for right-hander JB Boustakis, and then there was 2 other prospects that were both in the lower minors, but also 2 catcher Garrett Stubbs was the possibility to be the 3rd piece within that trade. So JB Boustakis is a guy that actually the Astros did end up trading in 2019 for Zach Greinke. So he was a former first-round pick, 15th overall, drafted in 2017. So I don't believe he has cracked the major league level yet. So he did make an appearance in 2021. That's JB Boustakis, but they did give up him to get Zach Greinke. But that's interesting that, not sure who the lower prospects were as far as pitchers, but you had kind of have an idea that they probably weren't anybody that would make the big leagues right away.
Yeah.
Aside from Garrett Stubbs, who is now with the Philadelphia Phillies. But it's interesting, these trade pieces that that happen, that go down, and you're like, well, why did they give up that guy? Because he has the possibility to fulfill a spot in the lineup later on. But look at the Justin Verlander trade with Detroit. The Tigers are finally just now getting a return on the guys that the Astros traded to Detroit. And so the trade effect may not be, right now immediate, but in the future. And it's, by then those guys are either that the Astros required are either now gone, like Greinke is. But yeah, it's crazy how these trades kind of work out, and the players that the Astros or teams in general just give up. So I was just curious to see who all the Astros gave up. But I mean, it's interesting. You talk about Pedro Leon and you talk about Hunter Brown. I mean, even to Corey Lee and some other guys within the lower minors that are going to make an impact. Forrest Whitley, like I mentioned, we haven't seen what Forrest Whitley can do. He's one of those that the Astros have held on to for years now. He's been in multiple trade talks, and the Astros have not let him go, rightfully so. He's still a young guy, drafted out of high school, still has got a lot of good upside, so maybe we might see him at some point, possibly this season, maybe next season after he comes off of Tommy John as well. So, but the trade deadline is going to be interesting, Kegan. I really think it is. It's going to be, we saw a flurry of free agent signings before the lockout. We saw a lot of things happen after once everything lifted. But as teams like the Astros, the Dodgers that are kind of starting to kind of break away, we're going to see these teams hopefully make some moves. What are your thoughts on center field right now? I know I'm kind of bouncing back and forth here, but center field with the platoon, of Chas McCormick and Jose Siri, with those two guys bouncing back and forth. How's that working for you right now?
See, I think at the moment it's not too big of an issue because you play each and every one. You play them each on different days. You got like McCormick starting one day, Siri the next. I think once Jake Myers comes back from injury, I think they're going to go three-way with it. But McCormick and Siri, they both each have their flaws, their strength. McCormick definitely has the better bat, and Siri's got the better defense. I don't mind what Dusty's doing right now, using both of them every now and then. But the time's going to come where he's going to have to pick one to stay there. And who that is, I don't know, because there are some days where Chas McCormick is just absolutely terrible at the plate, and same thing with Jose Siri. But I think once Jake Myers comes back and they start putting all three of them in the outfield and center field and just let them kind of play, I think then we'll finally know who the better of the three is, and then we'll just go from there. I want to say it's Jake Myers, but then we haven't seen him much this year. I think he is starting his rehab assignment in like the little simulated games out in Florida at the moment. Right. I think between McCormick and Siri, the one I would like to see the most, I guess, would be Siri. I think he had like two doubles or a run score. He did good last game, and he's got the speed in the outfield. I think he would be the go-to guy. But McCormick's also an option. It's kind of a tough choice. That's why you and I are not managers, because we would. I know. I couldn't make these decisions because I'm a little too biased toward certain players, but. That's why Dusty gets paid the big bucks. He knows better than what we're doing. I think, like I said, once you just wait till Myers gets there, even when Leon, if they think he's ready, it's kind of the ball's in their court, and I don't mind what they're doing now because it's seemed to work. So it's kind of up to them.
Yeah, Jose Siri is one of those guys that I particularly liked when he was in the World Series. He just showed flashes of excitement. I think that's kind of what he brings, that positive energy to that clubhouse, and I think it's one of those that it's contagious. And the more that we see Jose Siri, I mean, he did good last night. 1 for 3, or excuse me, 1 for 2, had a double, did strike out once. I think that's one of the things that we're going to start to see, hopefully go down as the strikeouts for Jose Siri. But another guy that they have is Corey Jolks. I'm kind of looking at the Space Cowboys right now and kind of just kind of see how they're doing and whatnot. But a lot of good guys down in the minors that can continue to definitely add depth to this Astros team. So all in all, I mean, great first quarter of the season for the Astros. So Kegan, I got one more question for you real quick. If you had to put 4 players on Mount Rushmore, who would they be? Astros players.
Are we going all time or current roster?
You know what?
I got different answers for both if we're going off of that.
Let's see. I tell you what. Let's go current. Let's go current right now. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore?
So starting off, we go Jose Altuve, fan favorite. Should have his jersey retired by the Astros whenever he retires. I mean, he's been an inspiration story to so many people. Starting off just a small kid out of Venezuela, trying out for many different MLB teams, being denied every time because of his height, and finally getting his opportunity with the Astros. And a little on down the road, 10 years later, World Series champ, MVP. He's been great. So he's definitely got my vote. Number 1 there. Number 2, I have to go Verlander. Verlander's been great ever since he came over to Houston in 2017. He helped them win that World Series. Since then, he's been consistent, and this year been dominant. Number 3, I would have to go probably Jordan, because I mean,
okay, yeah,
since he was really drafted, or not really drafted, called on his first game, as a matter of fact, against the Orioles, his second at bat crushed a home run to left center.
Oh, he sent that one over the batter's eye. He sent that.
Yeah, that was to forgot the picture, but I was watching that game. Second at bat, just launched it. And I think he holds the record for like the longest home run hit in Minute Maid. I think it was like a triple deck shot.
That's right. That was in 2019.
Yeah. Also in 2019, little fun fact. One of the one game I went to in 2019 was Players Weekend. He during batting practice hit the jumbotron, and there's a little picture I have on my phone. It's on the corner of it. It says like "Nice shot, Jordan," with the arrow pointing. It's hilarious. Number 4, this is tough. There's so many people I can go from. It would have to be like a 3-way tie between Bregman, Yuli, and Tucker. Yuli because he's bregman great defensively for Houston since he came in 2017. Offensively, winning that batting title last year, Gold Glove last year. Bregman, who I think should have won that MVP in 2019. Right. That's the one that was confusing to me. Trout missed a lot of time toward the end of the year, injured, but Bregman just continued to produce. But I felt he should have won that one. He's been great too.
It's the name right there. You start talking about Mike Trout, and no matter he could sit out the entire season, and somebody's going to vote him in for an MVP.
Yep.
I mean,
he play one game, go 4 for 4 with 4 home runs in that one game out of the 162, and somehow win MVP.
Exactly.
And then Tucker's on there as well because he's been great. I didn't really know much about Tucker until 2020 when I started noticing he was playing a lot more in the outfield, kind of splitting time with Reddick out there in right field. But ever since Springer left and Tucker's become that main guy, he's filled in perfectly, almost like similar to how Pena's covering for Correa now. Tucker's held his own. He's been really fun to watch. His swing looks pretty painful, but he's been really fun to watch. And that would be my 4. Now, all time, I got a completely different list I can go on and on about, but that's the current one.
Yeah, it's hard to put just 4, no matter whether it's current or past, into that those four on Mount Rushmore, because you can fill up three with Bagwell, Altuve, and Biggio right there, and then of course you can either do Bregman or you can do Lance Berkman, and it's just the list can go on and on. You would actually have to like carve out more pieces of just to extend.
You can't just slim it down to 4. You have to go much bigger than that. I can do like a top 10, but I can't just slim it down to 4 because I got so much personal bias with some of the players. Like Lance Berkman is the whole reason I started watching baseball at a young age. So he's obviously my favorite Astro of all time. And then Bagwell's up there too, just his stance. He's real fun to listen to in the booth and watch the game. And you got Biggio, and I can go on and on. Houston's got a long history of really talented players that you can't just slim it down to 4.
Oh, absolutely. Especially you look at guys like Joe Morgan and the Toy Cannon and Jimmy Wynn and
Jose Cruz and
Cruz,
Mike Scott. J.R. Richard,
all these guys, Nolan Ryan too. Even though he spent 8 seasons with the Astros, but that was a lot of his middle prime of his career was with the Astros. So
Ken Caminiti, all the
yeah. I almost had the opportunity to meet Nolan Ryan on Saturday when I was in Round Rock with the Express, but just missed him. But he was there, so I didn't want to make it look like I was stalking the guy. Just waiting, just pacing in the press box in the clubhouse. Just looking, waiting for him. So I started covering the game. Yeah,
that was me at Astros Fan Fest this past year. I went and I paid the extra money to go get the 5 autographed baseballs from Astro Legends. Now I walked in there fully expecting to see Bagwell and Biggio, but they weren't there. But there was Larry Durker, Jose Cruz, Michael Bourne, and 2 other guys. I can't remember their names. But that was me. I tried not to be as awkward. I kind of just stood there and just like shook their hand. I was kind of like at a loss for words. Like, oh my God, this is actually happening.
Right.
I know me and Michael Bourne sat there for me and Michael Bourne had like a 2-minute long conversation just at the end of the table. I was like, man, I was just telling him like, dude, I used to love watching you play back when I was a kid. You, Berkman, and Pence were really my favorites. And he was all like, oh, thanks, man. I went back. My mom was thought it was funny. I'm sitting there. She wanted to take a picture of me holding the baseball. I'm just over here, just like
just shaking. Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I got to do it.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. But it's awesome though. But but man, Kegan, I appreciate you coming on. Talking Astros baseball with me. It's always fun to, as we get the season kind of like I mentioned, we're a quarter of the way through, kind of seeing where the team is at right now. Got the All-Star break coming up, and then next thing you know, it's that push for October in the second half. So it's gonna be fun to watch the Astros. They are fixing to kick off a weekend series up there in Seattle, which right now I believe Seattle is in. I know
they're last place in the West. Last I checked, I think the Athletics have been doing a little better lately. So, the Athletics would surprise me because them and the Reds, they pretty much just self-destructed their entire team. And the Athletics are not too bad considering what they've done, but Seattle's a big surprise, signing Ray and all that.
Yeah, I think everybody expected the Seattle Mariners to be at the top of the division, and they were for just a little bit, but now they're sitting back 18-27, 11 games back out of first. So the Astros definitely have a opportunity to kind of extend that league in the American League West. Excuse me. I believe Texas plays Oakland this weekend as well. So
I know the Angels start a series with the Blue Jays tonight, and I think when they're done with the Blue Jays, they play. I think they go straight into New York to play the Yankees.
Okay,
I could be wrong. They play the Blue Jays. And it's the Blue Jays. I think the Rays and Yankees. It's good teams. So we're gonna see if the Angels are really legit, and hopefully not. Hopefully Houston can just build that lead in the division long. But people tend to forget this offseason whenever all the other AL West teams are bulking up who really runs the division.
Yeah, exactly.
People were saying, well, Houston's not going to compete. They didn't really do anything. And here they are, first place, like nothing. It's
Exactly.
easy.
Yeah. Looking at the Astros real quick, on the road, they're 15-10, which is, looks like they are tied for, third actually, because San Diego, the Mets, they're in the National League, have better road records. I mean, they're tied with the Yankees are 15-6 on the road. So, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a fun series in Seattle. Hopefully, they can kind of gain some ground. Some other teams playing the Angels. Hopefully, they can, help us out and distance is what we need right now. We need to kind of break away a little bit in the American League West. That way it kind of makes things a little bit easier, but the schedule now, not so arduous. It's going to be, 33 games in 34 days was tough. Those guys are tired, but now it's kind of back to, they're fixing to do, I believe, a 3-city road trip here coming up. Then they got a day off. So they kind of have a day off in between now, which is good. So, but Kegan, man, I appreciate you coming on, talking Astros baseball. Tell everybody where they can find you, where they can follow you, and where they can find your articles at.
So, yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Kegan Crawford. I'm also on Facebook on Astros411. You can find my page on overtimeheroics.net. Just find any of my articles, click on my name, and there's my page there. And thanks, Rip, for having me on the show tonight. Been fun talking Astros baseball with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. It's always fun. I'm glad we were able to get back to doing a live episode. It's been some time since we've done one. So glad to have you back on. And, the Astros are rocking and rolling right now. They are 29-16, sitting at first place, 2 games ahead of the Los Angeles Angels. So definitely a lot of things that are coming in the future for the Astros. So just got to keep plugging away. And October is the goal. So, but that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Remember, you can follow the show on Twitter and on Instagram, Facebook at Texas Baseball Report. If you have any baseball questions you want to call in, you can do that. That number is 210-263-3253. We can do a mailbag and answer your baseball questions. So, but that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Take care.